I should have known something was strange the moment my wife, Mira, woke me up before sunrise with that excited smile she only wore when she was planning something elaborate. It was her birthday, not mine, and yet she hovered over me like she was the one preparing a surprise. I blinked blearily at her as she tugged the blankets off me and said, in that soft but commanding tone she used when she expected cooperation, "Get up, today is going to be different." At first, I thought she meant she wanted an early breakfast, maybe a spontaneous road trip, something fun and normal. But there was something too bright, too controlled in her expression. I sat up slowly, rubbing my eyes, and asked, "Why are you waking me up like it's Christmas morning?" She tilted her head, flashed a mysterious smile, and said, "Because your gift to me is something I need to prepare you for." "My gift to you?" I repeated, confused. "Shouldn't I be giving you something?" "You are," she answered simply. Then she handed me a neatly folded set of clothes I didn't immediately recognize. The fabric looked soft, smooth, and oddly delicate. My confusion only deepened when I touched it. It wasn't any fabric I owned. "What's this?" I asked, eyebrows raised. "Your outfit for today." She crossed her arms lightly, watching me with a mixture of amusement and hidden meaning. "Try it on." I unfolded the clothes, a pastel pink top, fitted in a way that clearly wasn't meant for a man's shape, and a pair of leggings with a floral pattern running down the sides. I stared at them, mouth half open, waiting for her to laugh or reveal this was some early morning prank. She didn't. Instead, she looked almost tender. "Don't worry," she said softly. "I'm not teasing you. This is real. I planned this for months." I felt a small jolt in my stomach, an instinctive nervous flutter. "You want me to wear this?" "Outside." "Inside first," she said. "Outside later. Today you belong to me. Every part of you." There was something reassuring in her voice, not forceful, just certain, as if she'd thought this through with care. That made it harder to resist, though confusion still wrapped around me like fog. "Mira," I said gently, "you know I'd do anything for you, but what exactly is happening?" She stepped closer, cupping my cheek with one hand. "A transformation," she whispered. "A gift I'm giving myself. And honestly, a gift I think you need too." The words made my breath tremble. "A transformation? Into what?" Her eyes softened even more. "Into the softest, sweetest version of yourself. Into someone brave enough to see who they could be, not who the world told them to be. Into the person I know is hiding underneath." I swallowed hard, my heart beginning to thump in a strange rhythm. Half fear, half curiosity. I didn't know. "So, this is like a feminization?" She nodded once, calmly, like it was the simplest answer in the world.
"Full-time."
"Just for today, or so we'll see." For a moment, I could only stare at her. This wasn't something we had ever talked about. I didn't dress this way.
I didn't fantasize about it.
At least not consciously. And yet, something inside me quivered at the idea. Something small, hidden, long buried under years of trying to be the version of myself I thought I was supposed to be. "I'm not sure I can do this," I whispered. "You're not doing it alone," she replied. "I'm guiding you." She turned away, walked to the vanity table she had dragged into the center of the room, and laid out a neatly organized row of tools, brushes, powders, creams, small bottles I only vaguely recognized as makeup. The realization hit me all at once. She had prepared an entire setup. "Mira," I breathed, "how long have you been planning this?" "Since last year," she said without turning around, her voice warm with anticipation. "Since the moment I realized there was more softness in you than you were willing to admit. Today, I'm bringing it out." I didn't know how she saw something I didn't or wouldn't acknowledge. But she saw it, believed in it, and that belief made my resistance wobble. She walked back to me and held out her hand, fingers gently curled, palms warm.
"Come on," she said.
"Let me begin." Some part of me still hesitated, but the way she looked at me, calm, confident, loving, melted away the last of my panic. I slipped my hand into hers. She squeezed it. "Good," she whispered, guiding me to sit on the edge of the bed. This won't hurt, but it will change everything. I laughed nervously. That sounds dramatic. It is, she said simply, brushing my hair away from my forehead with her fingertips. Look at me. I looked up at her. She held my chin gently, studying my face like it was a blank canvas. Then she picked up a small brush and began applying something along my cheekbones, working slowly, methodically. The sensation was oddly soothing, like a soft breeze brushing across my skin. As she worked, she talked, not commanding, not teasing, but explaining. You're going to feel vulnerable, she said, and that's okay. Transformation always begins with vulnerability. I watched her eyes while she painted mine with soft, subtle shades that made them look bigger, rounder, warmer. I barely recognized myself, but somehow, I didn't feel scared. It felt like she was revealing something I didn't know I'd been hiding. By the time she stepped back and handed me a mirror, my heart was pounding. I lifted the mirror slowly, bracing myself. The person staring back wasn't a stranger. That was the frightening part. It was me, but softer. Me, but with edges smoothed, features highlighted in delicate ways I never noticed. Me, but different. My breath caught. That's me? Yes, she whispered behind me. This is who you become when you stop pretending. This is who I knew you could be. I don't look like myself. You look like the self you never let out. Her words hit me deeper than I expected. She helped me into the clothes, guiding my limbs gently, adjusting the fabric, smoothing it against my skin. The pastel top clung to me in unfamiliar ways. The leggings hugged my legs, and every movement felt foreign yet strangely liberating. When I stood up, I felt lighter, and exposed, and uncertain, and curious. 1,000 emotions tangled together until I wasn't sure which one was winning. Mira stepped back and looked at me, her eyes glimmering. Beautiful, she said softly. I flushed, shaking my head. Don't say that. I'm not. You are, she said firmly. And today you're going to learn that. She walked around me, adjusting a hem here, a sleeve there, inspecting me with almost artistic concentration. Today, she continued, you will move through the world as this version of yourself. You will learn how it feels. You will listen to your emotions instead of shutting them away. I swallowed. And if I can't handle it, then we stop, she said. But you won't fail. I'm with you. She reached for my hand again, and I let her take it. This is only the beginning, she whispered. And in that moment, I realized she was right, because something deep inside me was shifting, awakening, and I wasn't sure I wanted to stop it. She didn't let go of my hand as she led me toward the hallway. Every step made the fabric of the pastel outfit whisper softly against my skin, reminding me with each movement that I was stepping into something unfamiliar, something she had prepared, something she believed I needed. The house felt strangely different too, as if the walls themselves were waiting to see what I would become. When we reached the living room, I stopped short. On the coffee table sat a small box wrapped in silver paper with a pink bow. Mira released my hand only long enough to pick it up and press it gently into my palms. This is the second part of your gift to me, she said quietly. Open it. My fingers trembled slightly as I tugged at the bow, loosening it and peeling back the paper. Inside the box was a pair of soft, simple flats, pale cream, delicate but not exaggerated. They looked comfortable, feminine, and strangely inviting. I looked up at her. You planned everything down to the shoes? I planned everything down to the feeling you'd get when you put them on, she replied. Go ahead. I sat on the edge of the couch and slipped them on. They fit as if she had measured my feet while I slept. The moment I stood up, something subtle shifted. The posture the flats encouraged, straighter, more balanced, more intentional, made my body feel different. Not like someone pretending, but like someone discovering. Mira watched my posture adjust and smiled. See? You're already learning. I don't know if learning is the word, I muttered, looking down at myself again. This still feels surreal. It will for a while. She stepped closer, adjusting my shoulder gently. Transformation always feels like stepping into warm water. Strange at first, then comfortable, then natural. I found myself leaning into her touch without meaning to. Her calm certainty steadied me. She guided me to the mirror by the hallway, the large one that usually felt too big, too revealing of imperfections. Today, it felt like a window into something I didn't have words for. I stared at my reflection again, still trying to understand the person looking back. The makeup didn't feel heavy, the clothes didn't feel like a costume. Everything blended into a version of me that seemed to breathe differently, feel differently. But what unsettled me most wasn't that I looked different. It was that the difference wasn't wrong. Mira stood behind me, resting her hands on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. I swallowed. Someone I never expected to be. Do you hate it? I shook my head slowly. I don't know if I hate it. I don't think I do.
Good.
She smiled softly in the mirror. Because today is about exploring, not judging. I turned away before the reflection swallowed me whole. Okay, I said, exhaling shakily. What's next? She picked up her phone from the counter, glanced at it, and then looked at me with a mischievous spark in her eyes. We're going out. What? The word came out sharper than I intended. You mean like this? Outside? Where people can see me? She nodded once.
Calmly.
Confidently. Yes. My heart began to pound in my chest. Mira, I can't. I'm not ready. You are, she said. You don't feel ready because you've never seen yourself like this before. But you're not alone. I'm with you the whole time. But what if someone recognizes me? What if people stare? Then let them, she said simply. You're doing nothing wrong. You're becoming. People stare at anything that changes. I looked away, pacing a little, feeling the soft swish of the leggings and the unfamiliar bounce in my step. Everything in me wanted to run back to the bedroom and hide under a blanket, to pretend today wasn't happening. But every time I looked at her, the panic softened. She didn't look like someone pushing me into a joke. She looked like someone guiding me toward something she believed mattered. I know you're scared, she said gently. But I also know you. You don't back down from things that matter. And this matters? I asked quietly.
To me, she said.
Then, after a pause, and I think to you, too. She walked to the coat rack, grabbed a soft cardigan, and draped it over my shoulders. It matched the outfit perfectly. Too perfectly. She thought of everything. You're going to be fine, she murmured. Just trust me for today.
Trust.
The words settled in my chest. I took a slow breath. Okay, I whispered. But where are we going? She smiled. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere safe. Just a little walk to start. A walk. That sounded harmless enough, except it wasn't harmless to someone who felt like their entire identity had been turned inside out in the span of a morning. Still, I nodded. Good, she said, taking my hand again. Let's go. The moment we stepped outside, the air felt different. Cooler, sharper, almost too real. Every sound, a passing car, a distant dog barking, leaves rustling, felt louder. My heart hammered harder with each step down the driveway. I kept my head down at first, but Mira squeezed my hand. Lift your chin, she whispered. You don't have to hide. Not today. I did as she said, though my nerves tangled tightly in my stomach. The world felt enormous, too bright, too full of possibilities for embarrassment, but also full of something else. Something I didn't yet understand. We walked slowly down the street, Mira keeping me close. The softness of the clothes, the careful steps encouraged by the flats, the gentle weight of the cardigan. All of it shaped the way I moved. And as I walked, a strange sensation started to grow inside me. It wasn't fear. It wasn't shame. It was something like relief. We turned a corner and reached the small park 2 blocks from our house. It was early enough that it was nearly empty, just a couple sitting on a bench and an elderly man walking his dog. No one stared. No one pointed. No one seemed to suspect anything unusual about me. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. It's not as bad as I thought. I told you, Mira said, her voice warm. Most people aren't paying attention. And the ones who are usually don't care. We walked onto the path, the gravel crunching softly beneath my shoes. After a few minutes, the tension in my shoulders began to ease. "You're doing great," she said. "Am I really?" I asked, uncertain but hopeful. "Yes," she answered. "You're walking like you belong in your own skin." I laughed nervously. "I don't think I'm there yet. You will be." We sat on a secluded bench beneath a large maple tree. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting soft patterns across my clothes. I stared at them, at the gentle colors against my body, and felt another strange flutter. Not fear this time, but connection. "This is different," I murmured. "Different doesn't mean bad," she reminded me. "Sometimes different is the beginning of understanding." I looked at her, the sunlight catching in her eyes, and felt a wave of gratitude. "Why are you doing all of this for me?" She smiled gently. "Because I love you, and because I saw a part of you that deserved to breathe. And if I'm not that person?" Her hand slipped into mine. "Then you tried. That's all anyone can do. But I think you are." We sat there, quiet, as the breeze picked up and carried the faint scent of flowers across the path. The moment felt delicate, suspended, like the calm before something deeper. After a long pause, she squeezed my hand. "There's still more to today," she said softly. "A lot more." I looked at her, feeling both nervous and strangely ready. "What's next?" I asked. Her eyes glimmered. "That," she said, "depends on how honest you're ready to be." I swallowed hard when she said that. How honest I was ready to be. Something in her tone made my chest tighten. It wasn't a threat, not even close. It was more like she'd been walking beside me this whole time, waiting for a moment when I was steady enough to hear something deeper. "What do you mean?" I asked, though my voice came out quieter than I expected. Mira didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked out over the park, watching sunlight flicker across the pond. She sat with perfect calm, letting the breeze play with a loose strand of her hair while my heartbeat drummed like a second hand on a clock. Finally, she turned back toward me, her expression still soft but now tinged with something searching. "What I mean," she said gently, "is that today isn't just about dressing you differently. It's about showing you the parts of yourself you keep locked away. The parts you don't let yourself feel." I blinked, confused but oddly exposed. "What parts?" She reached up and tapped lightly over my heart. "These ones." The touch was small, barely a brush of her fingers, but it sent a startling wave down my spine. I looked away, unsure how to respond. Vulnerability wasn't something I was used to, not like this, not out in the open with the world quietly moving around us. "You think I've been hiding something?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "Yes." A lump formed in my throat. "Like what?" "Softness," she said simply. "Gentleness. Curiosity about who you are when you're not trying to be strong all the time. I've watched you push those things down for years. You don't cry. You don't ask for help. You never show when something hurts. You pretend everything is easy for you even when it's not." I let out a shaky breath. "Because I'm supposed to, right? I mean, that's what people expect." "Not me," she whispered. Silence settled between us, comfortable for her, heavy for me. I looked down at my clothes, at the pastel fabric hugging my body, at the careful way I was sitting because I didn't want to wrinkle anything. It wasn't like me, and yet it felt strangely honest. "Is that why you did all this?" I asked. "To make me softer?" "No," she said, firm, certain. "You already are soft. I'm just giving you permission to stop pretending you're not." My breath shook in my chest. I didn't know how to respond. She wasn't accusing me. She was seeing me in a way no one ever had. Mira stood up suddenly, brushing off her cardigan.
"Come on," she said.
"We're not done yet." I looked up, startled. "Where are we going now?"
"Home," she said.
"There's something I need to show you." Her tone changed just enough to make my pulse jump. I followed her along the path, the gravel crunching under our feet, every tiny noise amplified by my emotions. When we reached the house, she didn't speak. She didn't ask if I was ready. She simply guided me inside with a gentle touch to my back. The living room felt different when we returned, as if my earlier self, The one who walked out of the house confused and shaking had stayed behind as a shadow. The air itself felt heavier with anticipation. She walked to the bedroom and held the door open. I stepped inside slowly. Everything was exactly as we left it. Vanity table set up, makeup neatly arranged, sunlight falling softly across the floor. But something new sat on the bed. A medium-sized box, closed, wrapped in simple white paper. "This," she said as she approached it, "is the part one wasn't sure you'd be ready for." I felt my heartbeat climb again. Ready for what? "The truth," she said quietly. Then she placed her hand on the top of the box. "Your truth." She didn't open it. Instead, she stepped back and looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Compassion, concern, maybe even fear. "I need you to answer something honestly before I open this," she said. "What is it?" She walked closer, stopping directly in front of me, eyes searching. "Today, this morning, the clothes, the walk, did any part of it make you feel more like yourself?" The room went dead still. I wanted to say no. I wanted to laugh it off, to deflect, to hide behind some easy answer that would let me skip the sting of honesty she was asking for. But I couldn't, because even though everything about this morning had been terrifying and strange, even though I felt exposed, even though none of this was anything I ever imagined for myself, there was something real inside me now. Something I couldn't deny. "Mira," I whispered, voice trembling. "I don't know what it means, but yes. Something about this feels right. More right than I expected." Her shoulders relaxed, not in relief, but in recognition. As if she knew. As if she always knew. "Good," she said softly. "That's all I needed to hear." She walked back to the bed, placed her hands on the box again, and this time lifted the lid slowly. I held my breath. Inside lay a full outfit, far more delicate, far more complete, far more intentional than the simple leggings and pastel top. Soft fabrics, gentle colors, carefully chosen pieces that fit together like a story. A flowing skirt, a fitted blouse, a small necklace, hair clips carefully placed in a velvet pouch. And at the very bottom, folded with care, a note. My throat tightened. "You bought all this for me?" She nodded, watching my reaction closely. "Months ago." "But why all of this? Why go so far?" "Because," she said, stepping toward me again, "I saw something in you that you didn't want to admit. Not because it was wrong, but because you were afraid of what it would say about you." She reached up and touched my cheek. "You're gentle," she whispered. "You're thoughtful. You're sensitive, even if you pretend you're not. And these," she gestured to the clothes I was already wearing, "don't change who you are. They let you express what you've been hiding." My eyes stung, unexpectedly. I didn't know I was hiding anything. "Yes, you did," she said softly. "You just didn't have words for it." She took the skirt from the box, soft, flowing fabric that brushed against her hands like water, and held it toward me.
"Try it," she said.
I stared at it, heart pounding. This wasn't just an outfit. This wasn't just dress up. This was a step into something deeper, something frightening, something I didn't yet understand. My fingers trembled as I reached out and touched the fabric. It felt impossibly soft, almost calming. "Mira," I said, voice shaking. "What if I'm not the person you think I am?" Her voice softened to a whisper. "Then I'll love whoever you are. But I don't think I'm wrong." With that, she helped me change again, slowly, patiently, with the same gentle touch she'd used all morning. The skirt flowed around my legs in a way that made my breath catch. The blouse hugged my frame carefully, subtly reshaping how I carried myself. When she clipped my hair back with the small silver pieces from the pouch, something inside me shifted again. Not dramatic, not sudden, just a quiet acceptance. She stepped back, studied me carefully, and nodded. "Now," she said, "look." I turned toward the mirror. And for a moment, the world felt like it stopped. The person staring back wasn't a stranger. But they weren't the old me either. They were someone in between. Someone honest. Someone real. Someone I didn't know existed. I stepped closer to the mirror, my breath fogging slightly as emotion rose in my chest. Not fear.
Not shame.
Recognition. I look different, I whispered. Not different, Mira said behind me. Uncovered. My eyes warmed with something deep. I don't know what I'm feeling. You will, she whispered. And I'll help you. I turned to her slowly. What now? She smiled softly. Now, she said, the real transformation begins. Her words, the real transformation begins, echoed in my mind long after she said them. My reflection still lingered behind my eyes, soft and unfamiliar, yet undeniably connected to something deep inside me. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. There was no going back to the person I was when I woke up. Mira walked around me slowly, circling like an artist evaluating a new creation. Except she wasn't creating me. She was revealing me. Each second she studied me with thoughtful eyes made something inside my chest vibrate, a feeling somewhere between anticipation and fear. She reached out and lifted my chin with 2 fingers. How does it feel? She asked softly. I hesitated, trying to piece together the shifting emotions inside me. Strange, I whispered. But not in a bad way. I feel like I'm standing outside of myself, but also closer to myself at the same time. She nodded, her eyes warm. That's how it starts. How it starts? I asked. She took my hands gently and guided me to sit on the edge of the bed. The skirt flowed around my legs like a soft cloud. I could feel the lightness of it each time I moved. As I sat, she knelt in front of me, holding my hands in hers. You've lived your whole life trying to fit a mold, she said softly. Trying to be what everyone expects. Strong. Straightforward. Unshakable. But real strength, she squeezed my fingers, comes from honesty. Vulnerability. Letting yourself be seen. You think that's what this is for me? I asked. I know it is, she said. And now I want to hear your truth. A small shiver ran through me. My truth. She nodded. Yes. Not the version you've rehearsed. Not the version you show the world. I want to hear what you're feeling right now. Without editing it. Without holding back. I took a slow breath, surprised by her intensity. But she didn't look demanding. She looked patient, loving, and unshakably sure that something important was about to break free. I'm scared, I admitted first. It was the easiest part to say. Of what? She asked gently. Of what this means, I whispered. Of who I'm becoming. Of what it says about me. Of losing myself. She shook her head slowly. You're not losing yourself. You're rediscovering a version of you that's been buried under years of pressure. Then her voice softened into something almost protective. What else? I swallowed, a lump rising in my throat. I'm confused. How? I thought I knew who I was. But today I feel like I'm someone different. Or maybe someone I didn't know I could be. Her eyes warmed again. Good. Keep going. The next words caught in my chest, trembling but pushing upward. And I hesitated, searching for the right word. Say it, she encouraged gently. Peaceful, I finally whispered. Her expression softened even further. Peaceful, she repeated, like she was savoring the word. Yeah, I said. Like, I'm not fighting something anymore. Like something inside me is breathing for the first time in years. She stood slowly, still holding my hands. You don't realize how big that is, she said quietly. You don't realize how long you've been carrying something heavy. Today, that weight is finally lifting. I looked down at the skirt draped over my legs. All because of this? No, she said. Because you're allowing yourself to feel. The clothes are just the key. I took another shaky breath. And the rest of the day? What more do you have planned? Her lips curved into a faint smile. A lot. But it's not about pushing you. It's about letting each step guide you deeper. And the next step is important. She walked to the closet and opened the door. Inside were more outfits, skirts, soft tops, even a few delicate accessories. Things she must have purchased slowly over time. Things she hid until she believed I was ready. I want you to choose the next outfit, she said. Me? I blinked. You want me to choose? Yes, she said. Because the transformation isn't mine. It's yours. I stood slowly, the skirt brushing softly against my legs as I approached the closet. Every step felt heavier than the last, as if each inch brought me deeper into a part of myself I'd been avoiding for years. My fingers brushed along the fabrics, smooth, soft, colorful. Each piece held a different possibility, a different version of the person I was slowly becoming. Finally, my hand stopped on a soft lavender dress. It felt delicate but not exaggerated, flowing but not overwhelming. Something about the color, the simplicity, it called to me quietly. Myra's voice appeared behind me. That one. I nodded. I think so. She smiled, pride filling her eyes. Beautiful choice. She helped me change again, guiding me with gentle hands and careful movements. The lavender dress slid over my body like water, settling softly against my skin. When I turned to the mirror again, I saw a new version of myself. Still me, still uncertain, but growing braver by the minute. You're glowing, Mira whispered. I don't know if I'm glowing, I muttered, even though I felt something warm spreading through my chest. You are, she insisted. And now, you're ready for the next part. I turned to her slowly. What part is that? She took a deep breath, her expression shifting into something more serious. The part where you stop hiding from your emotions. My stomach fluttered again. You mean talking? Talking, she confirmed. And feeling. And facing the things you push down. I blinked, unsure.
How?
She took my hand and guided me to sit at the vanity table, the one she'd prepared that morning. The makeup brushes, the palettes, the delicate tools all sat neatly arranged. But she didn't reach for any of them this time. Instead, she took the seat beside me. I want you to look at your reflection, she said softly. And tell me what you see. Not the clothes. Not the makeup. You. The request felt heavier than anything she'd asked all day. Still, I looked up. The person in the mirror looked back with wide, uncertain eyes. Eyes that had always worked hard to seem confident. Eyes that now revealed every emotion I'd tried to hide. I see someone who's lost, I whispered. She shook her head gently. Try again. I swallowed. Someone who's scared. Good. What else? Someone who doesn't recognize themselves. What else? She whispered. I hesitated, my voice trembling as the next words rose from a place I didn't know existed. Someone who's hoping. Her breath caught softly. Hoping for what? I felt my throat tighten. For answers, I whispered. For clarity. For something to make sense. It will, she said, her hand finding mine again. And it starts with acknowledging that you're not as certain, not as rigid, not as unchanging as you always pretended. I exhaled shakily. I never meant to pretend. I know, she said. That's why this matters. She stood behind me, placing both hands gently on my shoulders. Her reflection met mine in the mirror. You're allowed to be gentle, she murmured. You're allowed to be vulnerable. And you're allowed to discover new sides of yourself. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting her words sink deeper than I expected. The dress, the makeup, the softness, they weren't disguises. They were mirrors, showing the parts of me I never let myself see. When I opened my eyes again, I felt lighter. What now? I asked, voice softer than before. She smiled. Now, she said, you learn to move in this new truth. She walked toward the door and gestured for me to follow. We're going out again. My pulse jumped. Where? You'll see, she said. It's somewhere important. I hesitated, my hand brushing gently against the lavender fabric. Am I ready? She looked back at me with complete certainty. You're more ready than you think. And with that, I stepped forward, into the hallway, into the unknown, into myself. I wish I could say that the rest of the evening passed quietly, that everything settled down and I simply drifted peacefully into my new life, but that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is that standing there in front of my wife, in that soft birthday dress, with my hair styled, my voice trained, my movements practiced, I felt something shift inside me that I hadn't expected. It was as if the person I had been, the man I clung to, the identity I thought was unshakable, had finally exhaled and stepped aside. Not disappeared, not rejected, just stepped to the back to make room for a version of me I had never imagined I would meet. A quieter version, a gentler version, a more honest version. My wife saw it. I knew she did. She didn't say anything at first. She just took my hand and guided me toward the couch, the soft rustle of my dress reminding me with every step that I had crossed a threshold. I sat down carefully, folding my skirt the way she had shown me, small movements, graceful, mindful. She sat beside me, not talking, just studying me with a look I had never quite seen before. Not amusement, not triumph, something softer, something protective. I finally broke the silence. I told her everything, things I didn't even know I felt until they spilled out. How confused I had been, how embarrassed, how afraid of disappointing her. How terrified I was of losing the version of myself she fell in love with. And then I told her the strangest part, the part that had been fluttering in my chest like trapped wings all night, that some piece of me didn't want to fight the changes anymore. That some part of me felt peaceful like this. Not every moment and not every step, but enough to know it wasn't just fear pulling me forward. Something else was calling. She listened without interrupting, her thumb brushing lightly over the back of my hand. When I finished, she didn't laugh. She didn't look surprised. She just nodded slowly like someone who had already guessed every word. She told me she didn't expect me to become someone else overnight. She didn't expect perfection. She didn't expect blind enthusiasm. She only expected honesty and effort. And she told me something else, something that I think will stay with me for the rest of my life. That transformation wasn't a punishment or a test. It was a journey we were going on together.
One step at a time.
One soft change layered onto another until it formed a new shape that still held the old one inside it. I felt my throat tighten. Not out of sadness, but out of relief. A release I didn't know I needed. She pulled me closer, letting my head rest on her shoulder, and we stayed like that for a long time. No pressure. No demands. Just breathing together. My fingers played nervously with the hem of my dress, the fabric cool and delicate under my touch, and each small movement reminded me that this wasn't some fleeting game, not some passing experiment. My life had been nudged onto a new path, one that curved somewhere unexpected, somewhere unfamiliar, but not somewhere I would walk alone. Later, my wife stood and led me to the hallway mirror. She flicked on the soft white lights around it, lights she must have installed earlier, probably part of the grand plan. She told me to look at myself. Really look. Not with fear. Not with resistance. Just honesty.
So I did.
And for the first time that night, the reflection didn't feel like an intruder wearing my skin. It felt connected. Not completely. Not perfectly. But connected enough that I didn't look away. I turned slightly. The dress moved with me like it knew what I needed. The makeup, soft, subtle, held my features in a gentler shape. The hair framed my face in a way that didn't feel like a disguise anymore. It felt intentional, thoughtful, and maybe a little fragile. But I didn't turn from it. I watched myself as if seeing a side of me hidden under years of certainty, emerging quietly when it was finally safe enough to. My wife stood behind me, her hands on my shoulders, warm and steady.
She said she was proud of me.
Not for how I looked, but for letting myself be vulnerable enough to explore something so new. She said she couldn't wait to see who I became over the next months, how my confidence would grow, how the habits she'd taught me tonight would transform into natural instincts. The word transformation echoed in my mind. For the first time, it didn't scare me. We spent the rest of the night cleaning up, laughing a little, sharing quiet moments that felt different now, deeper somehow. I changed into the nightwear she chose for me, still nervous, but no longer resisting the feeling of softness against my skin. Every gesture, every step, every new sensation was a reminder that I was at the beginning of something life-changing.
Not forced.
Not painful, just unfolding. And I knew it wouldn't all be easy. There would be moments of doubt, awkwardness, discomfort. But there would also be guidance, reassurance, and growth. As I lay in bed beside her later, the room dim and peaceful, I felt an unexpected calm. The kind that arrives after a storm you didn't realize had been building inside you for years. She looked at me, brushing a strand of hair from my face the way she always had with her own. She told me happy birthday one more time because she said a new life deserves a new beginning. I fell asleep with that thought resting gently on my mind. And that's how everything changed. Not with force, not with fear, not with a single dramatic moment, but with a gift wrapped in surprise, a night full of discoveries, and a journey that had only just begun. My wife didn't just give me a birthday present. She gave me an introduction to myself. And I'm still learning what that means every day. Thanks for watching.